Call Yahweh Bahashem Yahshua, Bahashem Rakatabash, Call Halal Amla, Alahayu Nawa, Yahweh Bahashem Yahshua, Bahashem Rakatabash. What I said was all praise to our power, Yahweh, and the only begotten Son, Yahshua. All praise to our power, the Most High Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Yahshua, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honor to the apostles and elders, the great millstone, which our learned truth from. Peace, citation to the hopeful elect, pushing His word with truth and sincerity. Shalom to you sisters listening and learning. Shalom also to the speckled bird Israelites, who happen to look like these other nations, but through the spirit and bloodline, they go back to Israel. To you, I say Shalom as well. Just to Wabban Holiday, just a quick little lesson. Just something to dwell upon and to think upon, as a faith booster, as well as just, retaining the proper mindset and the truth as far as like prophecy and, really the promise, as one of the promises that's afforded to us through Yahweh Shai, and that's, getting these nations as a possession, mainly Esau, Edom, who rules over it, or who's basically king of this matrix, so to speak. He's king of the land, basically. So, I just wanted to bring out a few scriptures as well as just, trying to give some form of peace, in the mindset as far as like, because I know Jake, we go through shit, all the time. Every day in Babylon is some form of trial or tribulation that we got to deal with. So, and something that helps me out really is, I think upon these scriptures, and really I just dwell on the prophecy of the downfall of, so-called white men, and really all these other nations, because when you really think about it, they've all benefited off our downfall in some way or form, which is why we get treated by them the way we get treated, or we get looked at, the way they look at us, because they've all had their hand in, mistreating us, or, kicking us while we're down, so to speak. So, for me, what helps me out is understanding that one day, soon, this man is going to lose his power, as well as these nations, and they're going to have to serve, Lord willing, Yahweh Ratazah, me and my family, and all my kids, and my kids' kids, and all my kids, and so on and so forth, as well as all those other Jakes, all those other Israelites. I really, it's something that brings peace to my mind, as well as like joy in my heart, to know that one day that these people are going to go down, and they're going to go down hard, and that the Lord is going to use us to exact, to exact revenge on them, to really get them a piece of their own medicine. Lord willing, I'll be able to witness it and be a part of it. I really want to, not just for my own personal gain, but, as far as just for our nation of people who we are, and just if you look at history and everything that happened to us, it should make you want to get these people back, in that day and in that time frame. You should be, looking forward to that day. So I just wanted to bring out a few scriptures. I'm not going to keep going too long. It's pretty late. It's about 2:30 in the morning out here in California. So, I'm just trying to make this quick. But yeah, this is we start at home 1. I start at 2. The Heavenly Father is jealous, and Yahweh revenges, and who he's revenging the Israelites. He's revenging so-called Black, Hispanic, Latino, and Native American, for the unjust, you know, unjust and unrighteous acts that have been, put upon us and done to us, throughout history. You know, so when these other nations go down, they don't understand like it's not just so happen to be your bad day. It's you are counted for as being wicked, or you've been accounted for as, dealing with the children of Israel wrongfully. When y'all had us in uh when they had our forefathers in their possession, and they had them in captivity. So when all of this is going down, when we look at it, it should be even more beautiful and more, you should appreciate it more because it's basically like Yahweh Shai is coming through for you like your big brother. He's trying to, he's standing up for you, and in a time that you couldn't stand up for yourself. And the times that we coming in, that's what it's basically coming to because the way that Esau got his military and all his weaponry set up, it's set up to where it's a lose-lose situation for you. You cannot go at this man on your own, just in the flesh. You need that real back. You need some divine intervention, so to speak, to help you, get over this man or to deal with him and to ultimately get rid of him. And the Heavenly Father is jealous, and Yahweh revenges. Yahweh revenges and is furious. Yahweh will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserves wrath for his enemies. I'm going to skip down to 11. There is one come out of thee that imagineth evil. Now, Esau, Edom, so-called white man, against Yahweh, a wicked counselor. If you, Salakia, if you look at, some of the recent interviews from the WEF, Yuval, whatever his name is, that damn devil, this man is speaking pure blasphemies against the Most High, saying, basically, saying like the Most High ain't as powerful as people, make him seem to be, and he's a fairy tale, and none of the stories are real, and just speaking all these blasphemous things against the Most High. They're imagining all these evil, wicked thoughts against Yahweh Bashem Yahushua and us because we come from them. So that's why they moving forward with this plan even more as to try and chip us or get rid of us in this mass scale genocide. So it's so that because they don't want to see us because we're the reflection, we're the image of the Most High, we're made in His image. So they rather not even see us or deal with us, at the end of the day. So not only do they lack morality for, the physical, representation of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, but they lack morality for the non-physical, existence of them. Uh, there is one that come out of thee that imagineth evil against Yahweh, a wicked counselor. Thus saith Yahweh, though they be quiet and likewise many, yet thus shall they be cut down when he shall pass through. Though I have afflicted thee, I will afflict thee no more. For now I will break his yoke from off thee, and will burst thy bonds in sunder. Man, that's talking about Yahweh Shai. when he calmed down and he comes to retrieve his elect, um, ultimately uh he's gonna free us from that's him freeing us from this system and this way of living, as well as these bodies, you know, because it's more than just getting out of Babylon and the and its beast system and you know dealing with the heathen. It's also getting up out of these wicked chains of darkness, these bodies, that we've been housed in, for the time being. It's also about trying to get up out of this as well, because as long as you dealing with this flesh, you ain't gonna never be, right, and you never gonna come to the expectations that you want to give yourself, when as far as like dealing with this walk, you know, because no one's perfect. We're not made perfect. Only person who's made perfect was Yahweh Shah, and we trying to be like him, so we can't be like him in his flesh. So at some point, you gotta want to try and get out your flesh as well, not just get up out of Babylon, and get away from these heathens. You gotta want to get away from your flesh. But what? But the main point is when Yahweh Shai comes, he's freeing us from the system as well as subduing these other nations and putting them under him. So at the end of the day, we just have to endure and wait on Yahweh Shai to come help us. And I'm gonna skip to Habakkuk 1. I'll start at 5. This is Habakkuk 1 and 5. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously, for I will work a work in your days which ye will not believe, though it be told to you. And we telling these nations, and we telling Esau, Edom, day in and day out, that they going in a place, they going in a hardcore, just hardcore, the hardest core slavery that they could possibly think of. And though we tell these people that, we tell, brothers speak on it and they say it all the time, people just don't want to believe it. And not only our people, but these heathens, especially Esau, Edom, they can't fathom, being under us or serving us. Some of them, they fucking head would explode if it could, just off, trying to think about that, trying to entertain that thought. Behold ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously, for I will work a work in your days, which ye shall not believe, though it be told to you. For lo, I will raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the bread of the land to possess dwelling places that are not theirs. They are terrible and dreadful, their judgment and their dignity shall proceed themselves. Well, that wasn't the one I was looking for. Well, that verse 5 is what I was looking for. Um, the other one, This is Ezekiel 35, and I'll start at verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus says Yahweh Shai, our power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. But this man went overboard. So at some point the Lord wanted him to stop, and he just kept going. He just took it upon himself to keep inflicting all this pain and suffering upon us. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh Shai, our power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sit thou, since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus I will make Mount Seir, talking about Esau, Edom, so-called white man, most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. This is Numbers 24. This is number 24. I'm gonna start at 17. I shall see him, but now I shall behold him, but not near. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. And I'm talking about Yahweh Shai, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Now, word valiant means we're gonna deal with them harshly, rough, rough them up, every morning, or whatever we want. We're gonna do to them what they used to do to us. Make their days hard and feel like hell. This is 19. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. And that he is talking about Yahushua. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. So these nations, mainly Esau, Edom, so-called white man, will be going into slavery forever. Forever, brothers. Not for a little bit. They're going to serve us forever. They're going to serve you forever. Lord willing, you be of that number, or you be that believer. So with that, Lord willing, it's edifying. Just some verses, to prove that we will own these other nations. They will be ours. Oh, just to bring out one last one. This is Isaiah. Everybody knows this one. Isaiah 14:1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers, talking about these other nations, shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Israel, or to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for servants and handmaids, for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captive whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And that word captive, that word captive,
Captive.
it means a person who has been taken prisoner or an animal that has been confined. If you look at some of the uh, similar definitions: prisoner, convict, detainee, inmate, bondman, slave, jailbird, prisoner of war, because that's exactly what we are. We're prisoners of war. Because if you go back to Deuteronomy 21 and 22, the rules are the spoils of war. In that day when the hopeful elect is raised up, and they help Yahweh Shai, take back the rightful rulership, and they bring these other nations up, and they are bringing these other nations down. We get to take their women, these other nations, as spoils. So that's how you know we're prisoners of war, because this is a war that's going on. This isn't a physical war, this is a spiritual war, but it's still a war, and there's still rules of war that come with it. So at the end of the day, that's who we are. We're prisoners of war. Our enemies came and gaffled us up and took us. In prison, detained behind bars, incarcerated, inmate, convict, prisoner. And when you read those words, like, who do you think of? You automatically think of Jake. So that's how you know we in captivity. That's how you know that this devil, he got the one up on us right now. But these verses that I just read, they say otherwise. But I'm gonna leave it at verse 3, and I'm gonna cut it off. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from thy hard bondage, wherein thou wast made to serve. So, that time is coming to where we'll be free from all of this. On top of that, we get to get payback on these other nations for how they treated us. That's a beautiful thing. This is something that I dwell upon. Hopefully it helps. Whoever is listening. You brothers. I know it get hard out there, but let's just keep enduring, keep this long suffering and endurance going, because prophecy is moving faster than we think. Every second, every minute, it's progressing. So, this is just something to dwell upon. When you're feeling down, or you got these other nations, these heathens, they fucking with you, and making your life harder than what it already is. Just think about these verses, or just dwell on your Yahweh Shai coming back, and coming to save you up out of this, because ultimately that's what we need, and that's what we should be praying for and crying out, crying out to, daily, not giving them no rest, make him want to, stand up and come and save us. those who are truly sincere about this. But Lord willing, it was edifying. It was uplifting. Something to just lift your spirits up, boost your faith up as well, and also to give you the proper mindset. Just the proper mindset and proper mind proper mind frame to have. You know, in dealing with this truth. And understanding that these nations and these heathens, they will be going into slavery and they will be under you, so-called Black, Hispanic, Latino, and Native American, you Israelites. So with that, once again, I want to say, call Halayim La, Alahayim Awa, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Fatadash, Shalom.